Today on episode 50, our Mike Singletary episode of Typical Chicago Fans presented by From the Sideline, we have Sinkers and Floaters, a wacky Week 4 NFL recap, campus tour, Week 5 and college football roundup, an electric interview with our favorite Cubs fan. He's the Dom, he's Frederic, and a new segment, Everyday Madden Ratings. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Typical Chicago Fans presented by From the Sideline. You can follow the main page at typical_Chicago. Follow From the Sideline at Sideline Sports, and in Sideline the first I is a 1. So we're working on that still, but yeah, it's a tough Twitter there, but Sideline Sports, the Sideline, the first I in Sideline is a 1. I am Zach Lilia. You can follow me at ZLilia, LILJATCF on Twitter. Facebook is Typical Chicago Fans. We do a weekday show, usually between Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 o'clock at night. Get all of our thoughts on the week of football. And we have college football, and we have NHL and NBA starting up here right around the corner.
We got to get better sleep.
Friday.
We're going to be gassed up for like the next 6 months.
There's a lot of sports going on here.
College basketball starts in like a month.
I think so.
A little bit over.
Like I said, the Facebook is Typical Chicago Fans. Go to From the Sideline Facebook. They always share. We have a podcast and everything on their videos. And then on Instagram, I just remember we didn't do ping pong. We're going to do it after the episode tonight. But that's,
we can just use the one from Saturday where I kicked your ass.
That's not going to happen. Typical Chicago Fans and From the Sideline on Instagram.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter at BoomyTCF. All of our podcasts are on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. If not, you can find us on Spotify. Just follow us there. And head over to YouTube. Type in Typical Chicago Fans. Subscribe to the page to catch all of our weekly videos and all the other stupid stuff that we do on camera and upload it to that. So head on over there and subscribe to the YouTube
Also, shout out
page.
to our guy, Matt Schofield.
Yes.
He hosted us on Sunday.
Very gracious host.
Very gracious host. I mean, he had so many snacks. It was unbelievable.
I think 37 salted brownies.
Yeah, Boomy loved himself some brownies on
I ate
Sunday.
like 2 boats of that snack mix he had.
But he loved it. We had a great time there. We watched the Vikings, Bears, which went the Bears' way. We watched all kind of football. I had 3 TVs going. Nick was there, Nick Petro. It was a good time with the boys. We've been doing this site for about a year now, and it was the first time we officially met anyone from the site, so that was fun. We might be doing it again here in week 7 or so.
If Nick actually listens to this. I thought Nick was going to be a D-bag because he's a D-bag Sox fan on Twitter. I guarantee he doesn't listen to this, so I think I'm safe. Nick was a lot cooler than I expected after knowing him off of Twitter.
Well, I mean, maybe you could say the same thing about yourself.
Oh,
from
yeah,
your Twitter.
1000%.
So it goes.
I'm sure he's saying the same thing about me.
It's like the Spider-Man meme.
Oh, yeah.
Pointing at each other. But we had a good time there. We drank some beer, watched some football, had some fun, bet some games, lost some money, won some money.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a good time. But let's get. Oh, no, and we also had. We just did a great interview with our guy Dom Frederic.
We'll be having that
unfortunately, the Cubs season ended a lot sooner than we were hoping. But we talked about what happened with Joe Madden, the season ending, what we want happen in the offseason, his thoughts on the whole season. So that'll be coming up here after our NFL and college football talk. But let's get into it right now. Sinkers and floaters. My sinker, Pat Fitzgerald. I can't stand the guy. I know he has a job for life there. He goes for 2, down 9, doesn't get it, takes his team out of the game for sure. I've never been a big fan of the guy. He had that thing where he said he doesn't listen to Twitter, even though he says #I'm done. You definitely do look at all the tweets. And I'm just not a big fan of the guy. And he's not win a big game, do something big. But at Northwestern, I think he has a job for life. But I'm not a big fan of Pat Fitzgerald, and especially betting on a game.
Yeah.
Going, I had the over in that game. You go for 2, make that, go for the 1, make your team be able to score a touchdown, and then go for 2, then and be in the game. Took your team out of the game. Ugly Pat Fitzgerald is my sinker.
I like it. Mine is, I think I definitely wrote this wrong because should be a floater. But I'm going to try and spin this my way.
Let's see how this works.
Let's see how I do this.
Yeah, you can't
13th century art, all right? It sucks.
What's wrong with certain – that's rude.
Okay, listen to this. So this woman had a piece of art just in her kitchen in a frame for like 30 years. Some guy was walking through it doing like an appraisal on something she owned, and he looked at it and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was actually made in 1280. It is a piece that was made in the year 1280, and it's just been hanging up." That's how bad this artwork is, that this woman just hangs it up in her house, and now it's going to go to auction for like 3 million euros.
Have you ever watched the Antique Roadshow?
That's insane.
My dad always watched that
It's
show.
one thing to have like a gun from like the Civil War, but to have a piece of art from the year 1280, like the year 1280 doesn't exist in my brain.
It's crazy. Like, oh yeah, my grandparents had this their whole lives. I got it appraised. It's worth $1 million because it's from then. I always thought the Antique Roadshow was just a wild show.
It's a scam. No way that's real.
It's gotta be. It's cool. Don't cloud my brain with that. I love that show.
But so like it's neat that this is good. This woman's gonna make a couple million euros off of this thing she's had in her house. But like, how bad is this piece of artwork that it's been just hanging? And no one cared enough. No one cared enough to go look for this thing. It's just been in some lady's kitchen, just collecting dust for 30 years.
It's crazy to think about.
What a joke! My floater doing prison time. What? We got drones now. Did you see this?
No.
In Cuyahoga County, which is outside of Cleveland, they have found that people are using drones to drop off bags of weed to the prisoners. They fly them over, they drop the weed in, and then they fly out.
That's pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that bad to go do prison time now.
Oh,
you could just like, hey, I need like a pack of Skittles.
You're not afraid of going to jail
now?
No,
because you just look up and your buddy drops you a pack of Skittles. Not that bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think your mind is a little clouded on what prison time would be. But I'm still.
I don't think either of us would do really well in prison.
No, I'm still out on prison time. My floater is the Chase Daniel hype, or just in general. Every time this happens, Bears fans love to jump on this. He did play well. I still think that we need to wait until a team can fully.
I don't care if Mitch comes back. I want that Chase Daniels inside the game. He knows what he's doing.
It was clean the other day. It looked good. Like you said, they didn't scout for him, even though they did. I mean, they're not really totally different quarterbacks. They still ran the same plays. But I just think it's funny in any sort of situation where, what was it, Jay Cutler?
Oh,
and was it Mike? Who was the backup?
No, it
then?
wasn't Glenn, and it was.
I'm drawing a blank.
There was a Jason Campbell year in there one time.
Oh, Jason Campbell was just there for a little bit. That's when he was on like 4 different teams that year. But there's always
Cade McNown or something. Josh McNown. Josh McGowan.
McCown. We are just butchering names.
That's good. That's what they do when they call on the radio. Josh McGowan is a great quarterback. Yeah. We don't need Jay Cutler. That McGowan guy, he can sling the rock.
And we have a lot of people on our own site talking about maybe Jay Cutler coming back. I don't think Jay Cutler wants to play football. Well, why would Jay Cutler want to go play football anymore? No. He's making millions just on reality TV. But yeah, I think the Bears will be all right.
Jay Cutler proved in Miami he doesn't have anything left.
I think Mitch will be back for week 7, which will be that's the week that after the bye, because he dislocated his non-throwing shoulder. I think some labrum kind of got torn or something in there. Kind of got torn, but no surgery needed right now.
I understand it's not his throwing shoulder, but that's got to scare you a little bit if he takes a hit and goes to the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
that's going to be.
It's always scary, especially with the way he
I have this
moves.
I'm not a Bears fan, but I have this sinking feeling that there might be a possibility that Mitch Trubisky doesn't take another snap this year, just because I know it's his non-throwing arm. But for a guy that is as mobile, I know we're probably jumping into NFL talk a little too early, but for a guy that's as mobile as he is and a guy that likes to get out of the pocket and can flee, think about if he's sliding away and just hits that thing.
They literally have said that it's sooner later than later. I mean, it's a risk you're going to have to take, I guess, as a quarterback.
It's also going to depend what they can do while he's absent. If they're in the place where maybe they're sitting at like 4-4, and
but it's a perfect week to come back right after the bye, and maybe it's just one of those things. Play through pain. I mean, you say, you don't want to go out there and play, but it's still he wants to go out there for his team. And if it's a situation where you can just play through it and maybe surgery in the off season or whatever, but still a shitty situation yesterday with that whole thing. But let's get into NFL Week 4. It was a fun week, like we said. We were at our buddy Matt Schoolfield. I do the podcast with him, the Moneyline podcast, and we spent. It was like the end of the noon games, and then we were there for the Bears game and the 3:00 game. Really and truthfully, it was a great week of football. Always a great week of football. Started off Friday night, Philly Green Bay 34-27 Eagles. That was a very high-scoring game. I was not expecting that high-scoring game in Lambeau with those two teams. I thought maybe the defense would come to play more for both of them. Neither of them really played that well. It's a game, if you're the Packers, you want back, though, because it's at home. You had the Eagles, and they just couldn't stop the plays that you needed. But like I said, I know it's one of those games that's still just a loss, but at home, you were in a spot where you're going to win that game, and the Steelers just scored a wow.
Damn it.
Yeah, damn. Speaking of that, I hate the Bengals. Never bet on you again. Andy Dalton, you suck. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's like a weird Thursday night game. It's always hard to play a Thursday night game, and
the Eagles are still sitting at 3-1. I mean, they're not a bad football team. We got killed on the offensive or on the defensive end, giving up 35 to an above-average Eagles team.
In
I think
Lambeau
you would say.
Is
yeah, I mean that's neither here nor there in my mind. Like we're still, I think, the best team in the NFC North.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers' record's pretty clean in September at home. It's one of those rare, very, very rare losses. I saw something he's lost like 3 or 4 in his whole career in September.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, it's the running issue. We gave up like 165 yards on the ground. It's something they know they have to finish.
Not even talking as a Bears fan, just a football fan in general. This is going to be a tough division.
That's exactly what I wrote down.
With the Lions losing a game like that, you really wish you would have got a game this week to try and go above them because
the Lions are for real.
They lost to the Chiefs, but they played very well against
the Chiefs.
They had them
on the ropes.
Stafford, if you look at it, may have outplayed Mahomes. I know it's on the road, but he still played well.
Right.
Still played well. I'm not going to say he outplayed him overall. But, I mean, this Lions team is for real. Their defense looks pretty good. The offense looks like it's going to be good enough to win them some games.
Right.
And I think that it's one of those I'm ecstatic the Bears won because you don't want to fall behind in this division because
for sure.
I know the Vikings are probably going to be the fourth place team in this division the whole year. I'm not worried about them at all. But the Packers, Bears, Lions, it's going to be
tough,
man. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be fun.
Absolutely, and that's what makes you mad. Obviously, the Packers play on Thursday night. The Bears and Lions played on Sunday, but this was an opportunity for the Packers to take a decent lead in the division, in a division that I think is the best division in football.
Yeah,
so it was kind of a missed opportunity. You got to get back on the horse. I think we have.
Matthew Stafford 3 TDs.
Yeah,
in that
Matthew
game.
Stafford's playing
another
well.
team that's very surprising. The Buffalo Bills. They did lose to the New England Patriots at home. In Buffalo, but that defense looked for real. That defense looks very good. The offense just couldn't get it going. Josh Allen had some turnovers again. But that defense looks like it's going to be
Josh
a
Allen was out of the game
with.
For a while, too.
Yeah. That was, like I said, that's one of those hits. It looks super dirty. And it's one of those, it's just tough in the moment.
Yeah.
But speaking of a dirty hit. Vontaze perfect.
See ya.
That was bad. The Raiders, though, going into Indianapolis and upsetting. That was an upset.
Okay. In the same breath, though, I think that Indy, so far this season.
They didn't have T.Y. Hilton either.
Yeah, that's true. But they have proved that they are exactly what I said they were in our preview show. They are an 8-8 team.
And Jacoby Brissett, I know I kept.
It wasn't Jacoby's fault.
No, it was not his fault.
He threw a pick six.
Ebron could not catch the ball. It seemed like he had cement hands.
Yep.
I don't know what was up with that. And he had a lot of drop balls. Yes, he had the pick six, but really overall, the offense never gave him a chance. He played pretty well. I think he was the only person on the offense where they showed up, but no T.Y. But at home, that's one of those games. And the Raiders, yes, but that's a false game. The Raiders still are not very good in my book, I don't think.
But that's what I'm saying.
I'm not worried about them.
To me, it's an
NFL weird game.
Right. And luckily, like we've said this a million times, if Indy was in any other division, I'd be very, very concerned about them. But I think the winner of that division could go 8-8.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a contender, but they are exactly what I said they were at the beginning of the year. They're an 8-8 football team. They're kind of in football purgatory right now. They're going to be picking somewhere in the mid-teens, and it's not a great situation. Jacoby wasn't. I mean, he did throw a pick six, so you could say that he had something to do with that because they only lost by a touchdown, but he didn't get a lot of help. Giving up 31 points to the Raiders is not
the
good.
Titans go in to Atlanta and beat the
Atlanta's
Falcons by
trash.
2 touchdowns. I think they are trash. They're awful. You just got to start over. It's ugly. I don't know what you're going to do. You have one of the best wide receivers in the league, and you still can't do anything.
Quinn might not make it through the year.
He probably will, because with the way that they've held on to him for as long as they have, I just
But
don't.
if they continue to slide in or sitting
It's
like
just awful.
2-7 or 3-8,
This Falcons team, it's just been a downhill slide since they lost that Super Bowl. The Giants go to. Oh no, sorry, they were at home, MetLife. They played the Redskins.
Yep.
The Redskins. I don't know what you're thinking. Why would you put a first-year quarterback in the game in the second quarter? I was listening to PMT. Why would you not wait until after halftime? Give the guy a little bit of time to realize that he's going to do it. But that organization, the R words, are just ran horribly, I think. There's no hope. But Daniel Jones looks good.
Yeah.
He looks like the real deal, but he looks like he has the personality of Eli. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. But they're not going to have Saquon. That's what, 4 to 8 was that? The ankle, so that's tough. But if they can keep it going, maybe stay in it. I
want to see what Daniel Jones looks like against a team that's not the Buccaneers or the Redskins.
Speaking of Buccaneers, though, biggest upset of the day, I would say, going to Los Angeles.
The Buccaneers have ever scored in franchise history.
Going to Los Angeles, Jared Goff just looked not good. He was not putting his team in position to win the game. 55-40, giving up 55 at home to this defense that's supposed to be one of the top defenses in the league. That was just an ugly game for the Rams.
I think it's kind of a fluke game. I still think the Rams are the best team in the NFC. But
I even like what I said with the Packers, but this team is definitely not as good as the Eagles. But you got to win games at home if you want to be one of the best. And you can't lose 55 to – you can't put up 40 points.
The best
and
thing
lose
for
a
teams
game.
like the Packers and the Rams is that it's week 4 and there's a lot of time. If these losses happen in week 13, there might be a little pee running on your leg. But there's time to grow. There's time to fix things.
But I like Jared Goff. He's a good quarterback, but he does show you sometimes in games where you need him, he's not showing up.
Right.
And that's coming from a guy whose quarterback is not. I mean, we've been hoping for success for a while. I mean, I'm still on the Mitch train. You got to ride it out.
Yeah.
And I think it sucks that he got hurt. Chase Daniel, yes, he came in and looked good. That's the stupidest conversation. Chase Daniels or Chase Daniel, not Chase Daniels.
Who do you want the Bears to go out? I mean, you have to go out and sign somebody.
I don't
because
know how that's
as of right now, your backup quarterback is Tariq Cohen.
Yeah. Which would be crazy. Like I said, what is he, 5'7"? He would over like 6'4".
Everybody says like
lineman.
Drew Brees is so short. Drew Brees is like 3 inches
but
taller than
I don't know.
Cohen.
It's going to be surprising to see. It really, truthfully, depends on what their outlook on Mitch's injury is going to be. If it's just a few weeks, and they're probably not going to look too hard. And
but you got to bring even just like a fresh, warm body in.
Yeah,
just in case.
But if it's going to be after the bye week, they really just need one game.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what who they go out and go after, and how hard they push for somebody maybe that's going to be a reliable backup is going to really show what the timetable on Mitch's injury is going to be.
For sure.
But like I said, the Vikings, they looked awful. Kirk Cousins looked awful. Dalvin Cook, 46 yards. The Bears defense is I hate to sound like a homer. This is a Super Bowl defense with a not Super Bowl offense.
Yeah.
But I think
at times it's not even a playoff offense, though.
But with the way the NFL has kind of gone, I think that this defense is proven that if they can hold teams to 10 to 3 points, the offense will always be in it.
Right. But it does make you worry, though. It's got to make you worry that, yes, it's probably good enough to get you into the playoffs, but when you go up against, even a Rams team that loses yesterday, scores 40, is that defense that holds the Vikings to 6, is it the same defense? Can you hold LA to under 20?
But I would but we didn't have Akeem Hicks, Roquan Smith.
And what's going on there?
With Roquan, I do think it's a real personal issue. There was some false story about
his
that was
erratic behavior.
I don't. They said it's actually. I don't know if they really haven't come out with but there was a false story about a car accident or something that was very false.
Okay.
But yeah, they've kept it the personal issue. They don't know. It's still up in the air if he's going to play next week.
But the guys that have filled in have done well.
Yeah, Akeem Hicks, knee I don't know if he'll be back. I'm pretty sure he'll at least be back after the bye week, so we'll see with that. But this defense stepped up, and like I said, yes, I'm worried about the offense. But that offense looked good yesterday. They were flowing like they need to, and if you can just put at least 21-something points on that board, you're gonna put yourself in a chance to win every single game.
Right.
And I know that's Zach, you scored 3 touchdowns, you're playing the game. But they scored 16 yesterday. Yeah. And it never felt in doubt, really. I mean, you never felt worried.
No, not at all.
So if you can, especially because that was the leading rusher, but you always have to put a little asterisk by a Kirk Cousins game because the most overpaid quarterback of all time. Seattle, just took care of the Cardinals.
Murray's not good.
Not very good. I don't know if
who
that
else
was
is not good.
Who?
And who stinks at offense? The Houston Texans.
Yeah,
They
that
played
was
a Cam Newton-less Panthers team and scored 10 freaking
2-0
points.
since Cam Newton
They
went
scored
out.
10 points.
10 points. The
That's
Texans made some
trash.
moves in the offseason, but haven't been able to. Gardner Minshew, another game-winning drive.
Yeah.
Looked good out there. Played injured. The Broncos, sadly, are 0-4. Vic Fangio still hasn't got a win in the NFL as a head coach.
Games. That's
They've
what's
been in
tough.
games,
They've
but
been in, I
just,
think, 3 of their 4 games.
they can't close them. But Jacksonville, it's weird over there. They got Jalen Ramsey standing on the sideline, not playing at all. Just it's a
He's
weird
on
situation.
His way out.
But when the Sunday night game was a weird 12-10 win by the Saints. It was just a weird game overall.
Glad I had the under
and
the Saints money line.
A Hail Mary at the end that wasn't even close.
Oh, no, it didn't have the under.
But it was kind of funny. There was a lot of memes taken out of that because there was like 4 defenders, 1 guy.
That game was gross, too.
It was gross. It was.
And right now we have
any game that's 12-10. But
I'm going to call it right now. The Steelers won this game. They're up 24-3.
Last time I ever bet on the Bengals, they just stink awful, gross. Browns go to Baltimore.
Yep.
It's Baltimore defense. What was that?
I can't decide if Cleveland is better than they showed the first 2 weeks or if Baltimore is worse than they showed the first 2 weeks.
I don't know. It's just
they're kind of a sieve on defense. Yeah. I think if they give up less than 40 that Lamar Jackson's going to be able to score 45 and they're still going to win the game. And they prove that's not the case.
Yeah, they had spots where they could have gotten back in the game.
Jerseys were tight, though.
They were tight.
Purples, I love those.
Well, that being said, you always feel like the defense should be good in jerseys like that.
Yeah, 1,000%.
But they said week 4 is in the books. The Bears go to London.
Yep.
Finally play a noon game on a Sunday. First time all year. Week 5 will be interesting. Our pick show will be out Thursday night or whatever. Whenever we get around to having time. The weekdays get a little busy with Boomy's schedule as a coach and everything. So,
but big one for the Packers this week. Huge one for the Packers.
Who did they play?
We go to Dallas.
Go to Dallas. It'll be a big game for the defense. We'll really see what they're made of. After having struggles in the game, you see what they can get themselves back on track. But we are very excited for another week 5. And any NFL. I know they said this is an ugly game. Still football. Love every second of football we can get. But let's move on to week 5. I kind of like spit right there into that. 5. I was like Daffy Duck there. Week 5 college football.
Clemson is not the best team in the country. They proved that on Saturday. They went to a very average North Carolina team, and had it not been for a piss-poor play call by Mac Brown on the 2-point conversion, they would not have won that game. And I got my top 4 for you. I know you're not the biggest college football guy in the world, but here's
I have one complaint. Can I get out of the way first? Mike Leach. That is I understand that it's funny, but you're going to sit there and say a team that you coach is out of shape, fat, and this and that. And
that reflects on
him. Name one good defense he's ever had in his career.
Well, he's never been a defensive guy.
Gives up 60-something points. And
that's always been his MO, though.
And I get that, but I think that it was just rude and it was just stupid to say. Call your guy. You're saying they're out of shape. Guess what? Maybe the coach could fix that.
Yeah.
Maybe call out your coaching staff or something like that. But I had to get that out of the way.
I don't hate that at all. But here's my top 4. I think the best team in the country is Ohio State. I may be wrong. I may be proven wrong. They play in a good conference. We're going to find out. My 1A, this is kind of the one where I actually spent some time looking at this. I think the second best team in the country is Alabama. They got a little bit of scare early from Ole Miss, but it was Ole Miss at home. It's a home SEC game. Bama's the number 2 team in the country. Number 3 is Oklahoma. They are steamrolling through the Big 12. And then my number 4 team is Georgia. I don't even have Clemson in the Final Four right now. I think that they're going to get tripped up. Now, last year, they had a close call at Syracuse, and they saw the same thing happen. They ended up winning the national championship in a blowout. But I've got a couple other teams that I feel like are at least in the hunt still, because it's kind of, there's a lot of undefeated teams left. One we're going to find out about this week. Florida hosts Auburn, both teams sitting at 4-0. Florida looks better.
Auburn looks good, too.
Yeah, I agree. But Florida looks better since Felipe Franks got hurt. And they looked very average week 1 against Miami.
And I know
I'm biased
he got injured, even
about him getting
the
replaced.
first game of the year. It's just one of those things. Yes, he's a good quarterback, but sometimes his antics go a little too far, too. And he just really couldn't. Sometimes he just wasn't good in the big moments.
Now, these 5 teams I don't think are going to get in unless something crazy happens with the teams ahead of that. Now, obviously, I have Clemson at 5. But 6, I have, in no particular order, at 6 through 10, I have LSU, Penn State, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, and then Florida / Auburn. Whoever wins this game, I think, is gonna be the that last team to get in. But in order for those teams to get in, and I'd love to hear listeners' thoughts on those, I think whoever wins the Florida Auburn game has a decent chance to at least stay in the hunt. But like I said, as of right now, if I'm looking at this and quality wins and the strength of wins, I think Clemson's sitting on the outside. Now, I'm probably going to be proven wrong. They're going to do what they did last year. They're going to steamroll through the rest of the ACC, and they're going to kick the pants off of anybody that gets in their way. But as of right now, after Saturday, they are not the best 4 teams in the country. And I think that their offense looked very, very stagnant against an above-average North Carolina team.
I'm going to go away from the big-time top 25s. What's up with Virginia Tech losing by 35 at home to Duke, 2.5-point favorites at home? Just get obliterated. It's one of those things I always thought Virginia Tech was always in it, bowl games, this and that, but that's just ugly at home against a Duke team who's, they're a decent Duke team this year. They played well against Alabama first week of the season, but it's one of those games at home against Duke.
You can't get pants in front of your crowd.
They've scored 3 in the first, a touchdown in the third, and that's all they got out of it, so that's trash. ASU going to Cal and winning by a touchdown.
Which is, Cal was undefeated going into that game. Cal's a good football team.
Herm Edwards, though.
And I hate I can't stand Herm Edwards. I think he's a clown.
And your Huskies always loving to break up spreads.
Hey, man, and we probably made $2.5 million in the first 4 weeks of the season, going to Utah, to Nebraska, to Vanderbilt. It's great for the program. We're going to steamroll. We're the Alabama of the MAC, baby. We're going to roll through the rest of the MAC.
A bad beat I had UCF minus 42.
Oh, that was so funny. You left for 5 minutes, came back in.
They at least covered it. They had it.
It was 56-0.
Yeah, I had a wash pretty much. And then they scored another touchdown. But, UConn scored 21 unanswered. That just, I don't know what happened
56-0.
Ruined my day. But
hey, big weekend coming up here. We got we have 3 top 25 matchups that I'm really looking forward to. First one, we have Auburn and Florida. Obviously, big Gator fan. I don't even think I'm going to get to watch that game. I think I got a coach. I can't remember what time that game's at. But then we have Iowa at Michigan. Hate to say it, Iowa fans. Michigan's not great, but Michigan is not going to be in the big house. Give me Michigan all day.
Big game for Michigan, though. You do not.
Well, if their season's over if they lose this game. And if they get beat in embarrassing fashion, you're going to be hearing some real loud calls for Harbaugh's head.
Out of the week as a coach.
And then last but not least, we have Michigan State going to Ohio State. I just said I think Ohio State's best team in the country. They're going to beat the brakes off of the Spartans.
We'll see if you're right. It's one of those games. It's a put up or shut up for the number 1 spot. If they want, what are they ranked right now? 3?
I think they're 2 or 3. Yeah.
Because Clemson, like I said, they had a scare.
Yeah, Clemson's probably 1, Bama's 2, probably Ohio State 3, Oklahoma 4. I haven't even looked at the updated rankings.
Clemson with a scare. Trevor Lawrence, though, they got it done. They said UNC, though, go for 2. I love the call, but the play call itself was a weird one. especially what they've been doing the whole game. They kind of went away from it right there. Sure. But Mac Brown, though, back. I think he's got this UNC team playing better football than they played in a long time.
They did lose to Appalachian State.
I understand that, but they got it for a big game.
Yeah,
and Appalachian State. I understand.
Is no slouch.
And I said, how do you go from losing to Appalachian State to almost beating Clemson? Yeah. That's football. That just happens. But I think they'll be in some big games.
For sure.
They'll be a team that'll be in a decent bowl game probably this year. But they got that 2 straight wins and then 2 straight losses. Those were 2 tough losses. But I'm kind of on the Mac Brown UNC bandwagon here. I like to see them succeed.
I love those colors, baby.
I love that, yeah. And our guy Matt Schofield is a big UNC fan, so it just helps it out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just looked at this. Michigan 52-0 Rutgers. Rutgers fires their head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Maryland, Rutgers, and who's the third expansion team?
Nebraska got outscored 163 to 7.
Insane, just making that expansion look pretty ugly.
And if it wasn't for a garbage time touchdown by Nebraska, they wouldn't have scored all weekend.
Yeah. But let's get into it. We had a great interview with our guy Dom Frederic at Dom_Frederic.
He's the man.
He's the man. He's got us through this whole season. So he got his final thoughts on the Cubs season. Joe Maddon getting fired. The Cubs just falling short here at the end of the year.
But hey, I don't know about you, but I feel a lot better after hearing from Dom and kind of what we're looking forward to going.
He's got good off-season plans for us.
Now there's been talk of the director of pitching, the director of hitting.
Yeah, we gotta get Frederic in the door for next year.
Director of morale. Yeah. Can we give the man a contract?
But it's always a great time talking to our guy Frederic. We love talking to him. It's gotta be probably 6th time.
I think it's 6th or 7th. Yeah,
he's at 100. So
yeah, we'll just say 100.
But here it is, our guy Dom Frederic.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome back our personal favorite Cubs fan. He's the director of morale and keeps our spirits up even in the toughest of days. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at Dom_Frederic. Fred, I know it's challenging times to be as the Cubs diehards that we are, but how are we doing today, my man?
We're doing good. I mean, we left it all out there, and we're at where we're at right now. I mean, we gave it our all. I felt like I gave it my all. And,
you sure did.
It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So now we move on, and we're going to have an interesting off season. But hey, man, this is how it goes. This is how it goes. When you put your chips all in, you're going to be hurt sometimes. So this is how it is.
That's kind of what I thought. Like we were, we've had such a good run here that you kind of just feel like you almost keep pressing your luck every time you make a deal, or you decide to sign a certain free agent or not sign a certain free agent. That eventually, like it's like if you sit down at like a poker table, you can't stay lucky for forever. That eventually something is going to happen, and I feel like we just might have fallen into that little phase there.
Yeah, I just think again, this isn't to like take the Cubs off the hook and take again, there's a lot of people to blame, but I just think as a system, in terms of an industry, you build your farm system up and then you let it play out, and then you got to trade them away to stay competitive, and while that's going on, you lose picks in the draft and you lose international free agent money and you lose all these things that you know what I mean? And you just keep exhausting all these resources that you have, and then something like this happens, and granted they're spending the most money in baseball and all this stuff, but you can see how when you push your chips all in, you better it's not always going to work out for you, and you better expect to get hurt sometimes. To make it not to be pessimistic about it, but that's just what's going to happen, man. When you embrace everything and go all in, you're going to get hurt sometimes.
Right.
That's kind of what happened this year.
Yeah, you can't keep burning the candle at both ends, I think, is the old analogy. Yeah. And I think when you say it like that, that definitely puts it into perspective that, like, you do try to stay competitive with all these moves, but in the same breath, people are like, oh, it's not that big a deal. We got rid of Gleyber Torres because it did get us Aroldis Chapman. Well, then if you make 4 or 5 more of those deals, then you kind of setting yourself up for where we sit at now. But the big news, obviously, coming down yesterday, Joe Maddon will no longer be a part of the Cubs going forward. What was your immediate reaction to seeing that news that Joe was no longer going to be around?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised. We've talked about it on here before. Doing your show in the past. I mean, it was bound to happen.
Yeah,
it was bound to happen. I think Theo said it perfectly that he was the perfect guy for that 5-year window, especially when we think about how different this organization was going into 2015. He was the perfect guy. He got the job done, and now there needs to be a new voice.
Right.
I mean, Theo said it perfectly. You need to have a little bit more accountability. We've talked about that all year. We need to maybe be a little bit more stern with things, even though Theo, named this season the year of reckoning, which it essentially is. It was.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. I think you can say that Joe's the greatest manager in Cubs history, and you can also say it's probably time for him to move on and for the Cubs to go in a different direction. It doesn't mean I don't like Joe. Obviously, there was things I didn't like about Joe because I thought he made some decisions that didn't help the club. But in the grand scheme of things, he was the best manager in Cubs history, and you go on from there. And I think the Cubs are. I think they're in the right to let him go because it's what's best for the organization.
Who do you think is the top candidate for the job? I know I've heard David Ross. Who do you think? Joe Girardi is also who I've heard.
Who does Dom want? Who do you want?
Who do you want?
Yeah, you know what? I just want a guy who's going to make moves that, this is going to sound so obvious, but make moves that make sense and have backing to those decisions. I just thought there were way too many times this year that, and we've talked about it before, that it just didn't make sense why Albert Almora was, leading off for a week straight, and why, we were playing some of the guys that we did, and why Derek Holland was facing a righty with bases loaded against the Cardinals one game, and he gives up a grand slam. These decisions that just don't make sense, and we've talked about them before, going into before the decisions were even made, we cannot do these things, and they still happen. Not giving our best players the chance to play on a consistent basis enough. I think we saw what happened with Kyle Schwarber this year. He got his most at-bats in his career. Guess what happened? It was his best year since his rookie year, and arguably his best year overall. Considering what went down, he had left a lot better.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We talked about before that it's just there were some things that went on that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Joe didn't really want to answer why he did it. So I just want a guy who is going to hold players accountable.
For sure.
Albert Almora doesn't run out of the dish. And tips his cap to the pitcher after he strikes him out with bases loaded and anything. He's not just going to walk down to first. He's not just going to walk down back to the dugout when it's a drop in strike and he has no idea what's going on. Things like that. Just got to hold players accountable, and I want a guy like that. It might be. I heard Beltran.
I heard that too. I wasn't expecting that one.
He's got the Astros pedigree, the Yankees pedigree. A lot of guys like him. He's bilingual, which is huge. I just want a guy that understands analytics, understands moves he's really making, and not just throwing things out there on the table and thinking it's going to stick and think it's funny in the process. So,
right.
That's what I'm going at, and we'll see what happens. I trust the deal, though. That's
sure.
what it comes down to. I trust the deal to get it done.
Do you have any, do you care if it's a first-time manager? Would you prefer a veteran manager? Because me, is that kind of split. It's shown recently in some of the teams that are sitting in the playoffs right now with managers who have never coached before, or coming straight out of, playing. I mean, Rocco Baldelli and a couple other guys most recently played in baseball. Do you have a preference if it's a guy who's had the experience, or does that matter to you?
No, I don't think, man. I mean, this is going to come off really naive, but I don't think managing's all that hard. I think it's a relationship business. It's a relationship position that you can, relate to the players and understand moves, and you can. I mean, managing the game isn't all that hard. Theo could just text down to whoever was sitting in the dugout and say, "Do this, do that, do that," and the Cubs would be fine. But but that's not how the game works. So it's simply just understanding moves and then being able to create relationships with the people and get the best out of players. That's what Theo said the whole time. Getting the best out of each individual guy, which is very basic and very obvious, but it doesn't take this big long resume that you have to be able to manage, that you had to manage for 30 years to get a job with Chicago Cubs. I don't think that's the reason. Would managing experience be good or be great for the next manager? Sure, but it doesn't mean a whole lot. I just want the best guy. I'm not specific with it, but I just want a guy who understands analytics, understands the modern game, and has access to every single move he makes.
Love it. Other than hiring a coach, do you think signing Castellanos is the number one priority for the Cubs going into the offseason?
I don't think it's the number one priority.
Bullpen, maybe?
I think it should be a priority. I don't think it's the number one priority. I think the number one priority overall, and Theo kind of touched on it a little bit. He kind of defended the pitching. They need to figure out the pitching situation. They need to figure out the bullpen. I understand the bullpen is super volatile when it comes to how it operates from year to year. But they need to figure that out. And you know what? The starting staff had a decent year, but not good enough. And you're going to see more regression out of John Lester, and you're losing Cole Hamels. So I think that's where I go first. And again, I don't want to be the guy that just says, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to sign Garrett Cole, and it's going to be fine. That's my first move is addressing the pitching and addressing the bullpen specifically, because if we don't have a bullpen next year and we have the same one that we had this year, there's going to be huge issues.
Yeah, we sit in the same situation.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't hold any lead. It was like we at the end. I mean, let's think about it. The last 2 years, we have been relying on guys that have been DFA'd to pitch huge innings for us. I mean, tens of innings that have gone to guys who have been DFA'd, and we're relying on them to be like the setup guy, in big September games. It can't happen. So, and that goes what I've always been talking about was player development and how the pitch lab was brought in 5 years late, and how the fact that Theo, I mean, I love the guy, but the fact that everyone's freaking out about the Cubs wanting to hire a director of hitting and director of pitching, these things, everyone's freaking out, what, these are fake. No, these are real positions that progressive organizations have hired. Pay attention to this stuff. The Cubs are way behind this. This should have been done 3 years ago, and the fact that Theo's just bringing it up right now just can't happen. And that's why we've had no depth coming up for guys to fill in the bullpen. God bless the pitching lab to come through with Rowan Wick and the other Wick and Mills and Kyle Ryan, which is huge, but that needs to continue to happen, and there needs to be an infrastructure put in place to where we just can't be banking on DFA guys every single August and September to come down and close out games for us, because it's not going to end well. We need to have younger arms that throw strikes, and younger arms that aren't going to give up paint, and are going to keep the ball on the ground, and that's what it comes down to. So it comes down to pitching. That's what I'm going with as the most important thing this offseason.
I couldn't agree more. Now, I got something that kind of came up on our Twitter last week. Felix Hernandez is going to be a free agent. Do you want anything to do with Felix Hernandez?
Oh man, I would have to look in the numbers. I'd be totally wrong to give you an opinion right now. I would need to go look at those numbers and check it out and look at the BOs and look at all that stuff. I don't know. He's old.
Yeah.
He's old. I don't like old. I'm just worried about again, the Cubs, the starters, Kyle Hendricks, super consistent. I think he was at 4 wins with Fangraphs. Quintana, even though he had a terrible ending, had a pretty solid year. I mean, he's right there with kind of what he was with the White Sox. He had a bounce back year, which is huge. Electric. electric. If he can put it on through a full season, he's a Cy Young candidate.
Absolutely.
And then you're like the 4 and 5 guys are. We got to figure it out, man. We got to figure it out. And I've already talked about the bullpen. Comes out to pitching. We got to pitch better. I will talk plenty about this offense, whatever question you throw at me next. But my first concern is with the pitching, and specifically the bullpen. It has to get better. The pitching infrastructure in this organization has to triple if we want to be where we want to be.
Most definitely.
After the year he just had, Schwarber's got to be back next year, right?
I mean, he has to. I don't know why you wouldn't. He's making $3.5 million. He'll probably make more, obviously, in arbitration. I think he's in arbitration. I think this is his first year of arbitration. I don't know. Whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, he made $3.5 million. He's a 2.6 win player, which isn't, an all-star level, but it's a solid big leaguer. I said it again. That's what you draft in the first round. To be solid,
exactly,
big league starters, and that's what he is. That's what he is. Not every guy's going to be an all-star in the first round. That's proven. If every first rounder was an all-star, it would be a joke. And he's a solid starter. He is 20% better than big league average offensively this year. He hit 38 tanks. He even got unlucky with his expected weighted on-base average, which was higher than his weighted on-base average. I mean, dude, everything we've talked about with him, he smokes balls. He barrels balls.
Yeah.
He barrels balls up in the air. Like, it all came and played out. It's why you watch 162 games. It's why you play these guys as much as you can. You get the most out of them for water to rise to its levels, and that's exactly what happened. And God bless the guy. He's my left fielder. He's been my left fielder since 2016. He's still my left fielder now, and I want him to be my left fielder in the future. Is he the best player ever? No. Is he a solid big leaguer on a winning team? Absolutely, and I don't want that to change.
I love it. So is there anything that the Cubs could do with the whole Ian Happ, Albert Almora, and Addison Russell? Is there any moves that can be made? Is there anything they can get in return? What's the situation for the Cubs in this offseason with those three? Are they going to be back next year? I don't know right now.
Okay, let's start with Ian Happ. You tell me. Let's just be honest here. What do we think we could get for Ian Happ?
Oh,
like, are we thinking like a bullpen arm?
It's not going to be a good one, right?
Okay, yeah, I hear you. Well, so now let's backtrack even more. Everyone is burning down the bridge because Gio traded for Jorge Soler, and we're sitting Jorge Soler at 40 bombs this year, and a career year, but everyone forgets about, what was his name? What's the guy's name? The guy they traded for, the closer.
Oh, Wade Davis.
Wade Davis.
I'm getting all these players mixed up.
Yep.
Everyone forgets about Wade Davis being one of the best corners in Cubs history, coming after a World Series win to try to repeat. And, okay, so, are we going to look back at this 4 years from now and say, oh, look at Ian Happ tearing it up? We traded him after he had like a 1-4 F4 in like 155 plate appearances. We really traded him for a bullpen on that we had for a couple years. I mean, the value of Ian Happ's value in baseball is much rather spent on the Cubs than being traded for like a bullpen on. From the Cubs' perspective, let's be honest. I mean, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. The Cubs aren't going to get a whole lot for him. He's proven that he can hit in the big leagues. It just comes down to, are you going to commit to see it out? And again, this is a problem with being in a big market. This is a problem with the expectations and with people spending all this money, and you bring in the marquee network. Like, are people really patient enough to see this through? And I understand you are in win now mode. I totally understand it. But when it comes down to it, it's why we talk about it all the time. Drafting and player development will always come above whatever you bring in from the outside. It's the reality of it. It's like you have a girlfriend, and you keep going through girlfriend after girlfriend after girlfriend after girlfriend, and other relationships that don't work out. Well, guess what? You're probably a jerk. It's your problem. It's your problem. So it's either you're gonna fix it yourself, or you're just gonna keep going through the same what are you going to get in return?
Yeah, it's
like,
got to be return on investment. I mean, that's the only way you'd even consider it.
Look at what the Dolphins, the Marlins got for Yelich.
Yeah.
I mean, do we know any of those guys?
No.
I mean, seriously, or like, who else? All these players, all these organizations want to hold on to their guys, and the fact that people don't realize how aggressive the team has been in trying to supplement this roster, trading away Eloy, trading away Cease, trading away Gleiber, and everyone says Theo held on to these players too long. It's like Theo did everything he could for this team. Granted, did he make a few mistakes in these trades? Sure, but like he's exhausted all the options. The first thing we said when I came on here is that, you know what, when you put all your chips in the middle of the table, you see what happens, and it's either going to work out or you're going to feel really wrong at the end of it. And luckily enough, we still have time to speed things out. And going back to the Ian Happ question, I would see things out with him because he's been a proven offensive player
for sure.
His first 3 years in the big leagues. Albert Almora, I mean, the guy just stinks. He shouldn't be on the show. I don't think you're going to get much for him. Addison Russell, nightmare. I don't even know if he's going to be tendered. If he is tendered, I don't know like the total logistics and the agreement with the guys who are in arbitration. I don't really totally know how it works, but like, is he even going to get tendered if he is up for being tendered? I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, but I don't even know. Good. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to get for him? It's going to be another Carl Edwards for Wick deal. Like, you know, it's going to be something like that. I mean, sure, you can get a guy back that isn't a domestic abuser who can play shortstop, but it's not like you're getting a great player back for it. Like, okay, you'll get a guy who can play shortstop. Like, big deal. Albert Almora can play center field, but we don't want him playing out there.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. So going back to your original question, no, I don't think we're going to get that much back from them in the deal. So what I'm kind of getting at is that, yes, there might be moves, but I would just caution everyone, instead of just selling people off to the wolves, that do your homework and really look what you're giving up and getting in return, or potentially getting in return, before you make a move. And I trust Theo. I trust Theo wholeheartedly. But he said it today. He said we have a lot of very good players on this team, and the sum of the parts did not match the whole.
Right.
If I'm saying that correctly, I don't even know. But it's just you get what I mean. It just didn't work out, and it's why we need a new voice, and it's why there's some minor changes you can make with the lineup, but like, this is what you hooked your wagon to. Like, this is it. And it's either you're going to ride it and go all in and see things out with some of these guys, or you're going to be disappointed and you might sell some guys off that you don't get a lot in return for.
For sure.
As we wrap this season up, what's Dom's 2019 Chicago Cubs final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I mean, obviously, you know, disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, I think, listen, man, like, I try to give people, again, everything has a optimistic tint to it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I say. But there are things that I'm honest about, and I feel like I've been as consistent as you can be with a team and a message, where I've said we have to play the best players every day, which we can do. We have to improve the pitching infrastructure, which Gio talked about today, and people were flipping out about a director of pitching and hitting, which is ridiculous. And, you know, that we have to stick with some guys because of their peripheral stats are telling us that we really need to stick with them because they're going to be good players, i.e. Darvish, Schwarber, Happ, and so on. So, again, it's a learning experience. Theo said that today. I'm not trying to be a mouthpiece for everything he's saying, but I just really think that the Cubs, there's some things they can improve upon, but I don't know. I I just wouldn't sell everything off. I just wouldn't say, like, we have to make moves just to make moves. I just don't believe that, especially with how teams are covering their young talent. I don't see it that way. I don't want to go on a tangent with it, but specifically when people talk about the Cubs need more contact. Well, okay, if you want more contact, then play Jason Hayward 162 times a year, play Albert Amora 162 times a year, and play Nico Horner. Just bring him up entirely, and let him play 162 times a year. You'll make a lot of contact. But we know how that's probably going to go.
Yeah.
Nothing against Nico, but you know what I mean? It's like we know how that's going to go. So these are much harder things to figure out. And again, if you can find a guy, I think the perfect fit for the Cubs right now is a guy who can be what they thought Jason Hayward would be, which is like 120 weighted runs created plus, who makes contact probably between 16 and 18% of the time, and can play good defense and probably play all three outfield positions. Jason Hayward proved that he really can't play center. I hope that's not the case long term. I hope he's not on the team long term. I've been saying that for 4 years. And it's just the reality of it. And if they can find a guy who can hit leadoff, can make contact, and can be a 20% above league average hitter, and between a 3 and a 4 win player, I think you got Dexter Fowler back, and that's huge.
Right.
I hope they can find a guy like that. But it doesn't mean to sell everyone off just to find that one guy who can make contact.
For sure.
That's not what this is about. So again, I trust Dio wholeheartedly. That goes back to what you said, Zach. Like, what's your take on 2019 season? He took a lot of lumps. The organization took a lot of lumps, but I am reiterating, I am standing next to that guy, and I am not leaving his side. I will not say that enough. Like, I trust him with this organization and everything he said. Again, they have to hire a solid, analytically driven director of hitting and director of pitching. Go sign Kyle Bodie right now. Like, that has to happen. I believe everything he's doing and what he will do even more. So that's my biggest takeaway. It's like learning experience. Things have to change, but things don't have to be blown up. But the infrastructure of this team and organization has to change to deal with that.
Couldn't agree more. Fred, thanks so much for coming on, man. You've had a long season. We've all had a long season. You go ahead and I think if anybody deserves a vacation right now, it's probably you.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I mean, now with how this is, I'm not leaving, man.
Amen, brother.
I'll be here for the whole deal in the off season and figuring things out. Trying to give people a different perspective on things, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And make sure you guys DM me. I have to get shirts to you guys.
Ooh.
This is like the 100th time I've been on this. And, DM me so I can get some addresses and send you guys some stuff.
Right on, my man. Well, Fred, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it. Follow him at Dom_Frederic. He's the man. He's the best Cubs fan we know. So, again, last but not least, thank you so much, Fred. We appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, and we'll do it for 102nd time next time we call.
Amen. Amen. Can't wait.
All right, sounds good. Thanks again.
Yep. There it was, guys. Like you said, hearing back from Dom after I think we talked about the All-Star break, and yeah, it's a sad way to see the Cubs season end.
I was hoping to maybe get a little bit of a playoff preview out of them, but then we sadly did not get to go to the playoffs as a Cubs fan. I mean, it's been a tough last few weeks, but like I said, it was refreshing
I found
to
solace
hear.
with it. We're going to move on.
That's why we got him on here. We needed a little bit of cleansing of the season, so that's what our guy Frederic did for us. Again, it's at Dom_Frederic. We love having him on here. He's our Cubs guy he's always been there for us, and we love him. Go out. I don't think he's still selling the shirts or not, but if he ever puts them on sale, always go out and get those shirts. I have the morale shirt.
I have 2 of the Theo's League ones because I dyed one pink. Because I'm dumb.
Bad timing, though. I got one right around the time they were in it, and then I got it right after they lost.
Kind of like
straight.
when you got that shirt from Carl the
this
day
is a
after they got
Barstool
eliminated.
Carl. The Barstool Chicago shirt, I got this like the day after the Cubs, I think, were pretty much eliminated.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful shirt if you want to go to barstoolchicago.com. Shop, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any of that stuff. But
Barstool,
shout out Barstool Carl and this beautiful shirt. It's cozy. It's very soft.
It does look very comfortable.
I love it. But again,
All right.
our guy, Frederic, thank you for coming on. We will. It's going to be a long off season.
We'll definitely talk to Fred before first pitch next year.
Yeah, first pitch. Sometime maybe during spring training, we'll get him on here. But like I said, our guy, he needs a break. He's been going hard for the Cubs.
If I could afford it, I'd send Fred on vacation.
He says, I'm not leaving, but we said just take a few months off. But they're looking for a manager, so that's going to be the next thing for the Cubs.
Yep.
But again, we love our guy, Frederic. But like I said, let's get into this. This is a segment that we've been waiting to do for a while.
Shout out Matt Schoolfield that brought it up.
Yep.
So the name of the segment is Everyday Madden Ratings.
Okay,
so we've each come up with 3 things, and we're going to give our Madden rating for these things, like how we do in these, how well we're versed.
And the thing is, I'll pick one that you usually pick it with your strength, but we both give our overall what we think our overall rating will be. I'll go first. Backing up trailers. With my job, I've been backing up trailers for probably 10 years
before
now.
You had a driver's license, probably.
I've wrecked bumpers before I should have been able to wreck bumpers, but it's not something that I take pride in. But I'm taking a Madden rating overall 99. I'm giving myself a 99. I did it this morning. I can back up anything. It's beautiful. I can straight line right down the middle.
I sit about a 48.
I don't know really, but
48.
Yeah, because
I bought a trailer this summer for my mower.
It's a tough trailer to go on, though.
Yep, it is. It's not the easiest, and I'm not great at it. I jackknife it just about every time, and have to try it about 18 times. So yeah, I think 48. But you know, like sometimes they give you the red arrow pointing down or the green arrow pointing up. I'm definitely green arrow pointing up. I've been practicing in the yard.
You're out there. Your skills are going up every once in a while.
Every time I get a chance to practice, I go practice.
But I'm not saying it's a skill that I'm proud of.
No, I would be.
It's something I've had a lot of chances to work on it.
For sure.
What's your first one? Boo?
All right. And this is more like how well do you enjoy this or how good are you at this? And I don't know even if you have to do this, but vacuuming carpet.
It's satisfying.
It is.
It's satisfying.
And we're both like borderline OCD guys sometimes.
I would say I'm a. You want to go yours first or mine?
Yeah, I'll give mine. I am about. I'm gonna give myself an 87. I'm a good vacuumer, but I have yet to figure out the trick to make all the lines go the same way.
I would say I'm like a 54 because just not that I. Like you said, the ambition to do it is not there.
Definitely.
So that really brings down the
You want to take your skill up a game. We have like this stuff you like sprinkle on the carpet, you let it sit, and then you vacuum it up. Smells delicious afterwards.
Also, live with my parents, so I really don't have to. So I feel like if I was hopefully I move out one day. Not going with my mom's probably like, please. But I think it'll be more the green arrow point up once I have to do it on my own in my own place.
Mine's a very steady yellow. I don't have a lot of ambition.
It's going to stay around the same.
Okay.
Maybe go down even a little bit. But yeah, I
don't hate that.
Not good at that. Mine, mowing the lawn.
All right, I had that too.
We'll both say that's our 2.
Yep.
Because I would say I'm like a 96 because I enjoy it. I just love it.
Yep.
I love doing it. And I've mowed plenty of lawns. I'm not saying I'm great at it. I mow a lawn. The grass is all cut. But I love just putting some headphones on, listening to a podcast, getting some sun, just being away from people, being able to get like near you and reach you. Or I know that you still have your phone. But
you don't hear it
you
go
can't be
off.
bothered.
Yeah.
You can't be
no,
bothered.
I'm going to give myself like a 91. And the reason I'm a little down on myself is because my mower and my yard are not great. So I have kind of like, and you have a pretty nice mower. I have like the swirl marks, that you get sometimes when you have a shitty mower. I've got those going on, and my yard is kind of lopsided.
Imagine when you get that new mower, when you get that fresh one, your rating's gonna go through the roof.
That's what I'm saying. It's 91.
We'll have to
but
rehash
until I
it, man,
get
one
that,
day.
it's like when a player gets like. Like invest a lot of money in like a cryogenic chamber or whatever, and or like a personal trainer. Like
I would have no idea.
As soon as I get that, my rating's going to go through the roof.
But yeah, so we'll have to keep an update on that one.
Yes.
What's your third one?
All right, and again, I don't even know if you have to how much you even do this, but grilling.
Mine, going on mine?
Yeah.
0.
Really?
I don't know if I've never grilled my whole life.
Oh my God, I feel so bad.
So I'll
for
give
you.
myself I think I have to go 0.
Like, if you
I
just,
really
like-
think I have to go 0 because I've never done it.
That's wild.
I've literally never grilled anything.
And
in my life.
this would be cocky of me to say, like, oh, I'm like an 88. No, like, I'm going to be realistic about this. I'm like a 77. Okay, I
Hey, you
grill
put out
all
fires?
the time. I did. I also create big fires.
That was wild.
But I have grilled. I've done like shrimp Alfredo, or not? Is it shrimp scampi on the grill?
I think
I've
that is
tried
what
some different
triggered
things.
the fire.
No, that was zucchini boats.
Oh, the
but
oil came out of it or something?
Yeah, butter. And that's the thing. That's why I'm not a B average in the 80s yet, because I do have a tendency to light things on fire. At one point, I had like a family of 5 mice living in my grill. So, I'm not great. I haven't got down the science of it, but I'm going to give myself a solid 77 with an arrow pointing up, because I actually follow like grilling pages on Instagram on how to like be better. And,
I think
it's something I'm working
I need to work on mine a lot.
Yeah,
so
I
maybe
need to-
this is a test.
I think we might have a video opportunity here.
grill?
I'll teach you how to grill.
a grill session with the TCF boys. I'm
We
trying
need to have the flour ready in case we start a fire.
That was crazy. That actually
That was
worked.
wild.
I'm gonna pull a little fast one here. Slow pitch softball.
This is because of my comment last night.
Yes, it
isn't
was.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'll go second.
Of course you will. It doesn't matter what I say. You're gonna say it like one better anyway.
I just want to know.
We'll say it at the same time.
No, I'm not gonna. It has nothing to do with yours.
Okay. I'm an 83.
I'm probably around 80.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of hindered. I only have a first baseman's glove.
Right.
So I can usually that means I only play first base. But I'm getting better at the outfield. I'm trending up because I'm usually a little worried about playing the outfield. I'm not saying I'm the best at it.
You're definitely getting better.
But I'm trending up.
And your powers went up this year. Your power numbers increased.
Hey, I didn't want to talk about it.
Your
but
power numbers increase. My average numbers increase, and I can play the outfield a little bit, and I pitch. So that's why I give myself a little bit above an 80.
Yeah, that's kind of just a cocky one to throw out there.
That was a good one though. I like that.
I wanted to see what
that
you
was
say.
because of the comment I made at the bar last night.
Yes, it is. But again, thank you.
And if you have anything you want to hear us do our Madden ratings on, let us know.
Yeah, DM us. Let us know. We're gonna cut this up because it's been a section that we've been a segment we've been looking to do for a while. But thank you for listening, watching episode 50 of Typical Chicago Fans, presented by From the Sideline. Like I said, we had our guy at Dom Frederic, our guy, the director of morale for the Chicago Cubs, on to give his final thought on the 2019 Chicago Cubs. We talked a little college football, NFL, Bears, Packers. Bears won. They go to London this week for the big London game against the Oakland Raiders. That'll be exciting. The Raiders. But if you want to go to our Twitter, it's at typical_Chicago. If you want to go to at Sideline Sports, and then Sideline, the first I is a 1.
Yeah, it's not confusing at all.
It's not confusing at all. We're looking to change that. You can follow me at no underscore at Zlilia LILJATCF. There's no underscore. I don't know. There's never been an
there's never been an
underscore in a
Twitter.
long time, if any. My brain's broken here on a Monday. It's been a long Monday. But let's see here. Facebook.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on. It's just.
Just get it together.
Well, I've been kind of putting the Cubs out of my head for a while
now
here,
they
and then we
bring
brought
them
it back
back
up,
up.
and it's just
It's
kind
like
of
picking that scab.
I bet on the Bengals. I lost everything on the Bengals. The Bengals stink. It's stupid. But the Facebook is Typical Chicago Fans. We do weekday shows between Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 o'clock. We'll let you know I've been not doing the best at letting you know. I will do better at that. That is on me, Zelo the dummy. And then From the Sideline on there, we have all of our podcast videos. They usually share our weekday show, and then Instagram. We're about to go do our ping pong challenge after our ping pong pre-show, which is actually post-show this time, which we usually post on there. The winners are usually found out if you go to our personal Instagrams. Usually it goes up quicker on the winners than
If it's
anything
me.
else. Even if it's me, we usually the W goes up pretty quick. And then From the Sideline on Instagram.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter at BoomyTCF. All the podcasts are on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate, review there. They're also on Spotify. Make sure you follow us on there and head over to the YouTube page and follow Typical Chicago Fans on there. Subscribe.
Again, thanks to our guy Frederic. He's always here for us throughout the season. Whenever we want him to come on here, we love having him on. He is so insightful. We like watching. We're diehard Cub fans, but he just knows some stats and stuff that he throws out there that I would never even thought about. So again, shout out to our guy Frederic. Sadly, the Chicago Cubs will not be in the playoffs, and the season has ended too quickly. And again, we're gonna miss you, Joe. Man, I love you. Greatest Cub coach that we've ever had, but it just had to happen. But still sad, still sucks. So again, shout out Joe. Man, we'll miss you. Have fun out in LA, where you're either gonna go to the Angels or the Padres if you're smart. But again, thank you for listening to episode 50 of Typical Chicago Fans, presented by From the Sideline. We love you all.
Peace.